G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is a Makeshift 32 SMG. This is based off a real-life firearm from Chechnya called the Borz, which translates into wolf. It's a submachine gun, very light, very compact, very cheap to make, about $100 a pop. These things you can produce them for, which is some pretty good bang for your buck. This thing has custom animations. The sounds are that of the pipe gun, but we're using a fairly similar caliber in the 32 rounds, which means this thing does require the use of the munitions mod to get it working, but I've also installed an animation fix, so animations work well both in first and third person. Let's get into the attachments. First of all, we've got the receiver. We can go all the way down to a powerful receiver, giving us a whopping 51 damage, but it will increase our fire rate, so I suppose our DPS is going to go up fairly significantly from that. Now, for the barrels, we can have a long barrel. There's also options for a suppressed barrel. The heavy barrel here gives us 203 range with a bit of accuracy as a bonus as well, which is not too bad for a range of, especially this caliber, so that's actually pretty decent. Next, we've got the grips. You can have taped, makeshift, comfort, or recoil grips, which will increase recoil control, give you better accuracy stat on your weapon card. That's helpful. And of course, you get a selection of magazines, including smalls, large, mediums, with quick eject variants of those for a faster reload. So we'll throw on a quick eject large magazine for maximum firepower without having to reload between many shots. Now, we've got the sights now. We've got iron sights, glow sights. You can have a couple of makeshift type sights, or you can get some more realistic, plausible looking things, including a short scope if you want it, which I think is rather interesting. We'll just go for a reflex sight now. That'll optimize our VATS usage a little bit, make it slightly better for utilizing in VATS. You can have a couple of bayonets, compensators, makeshift suppressors, and more real steel stuff down here, including a dedicated suppressor that isn't integrally integrated into the barrel. So that one will go on. 64 damage now. That's pretty nice. Legendary effect is there if you want it. We'll be leaving that. And we've also got an option for throwing a stock on this thing. A recoil compensating stock, which looks like it's been taken from an MP40. You can throw that on. That'll increase your recoil control at the cost of a little bit of weight. And that's it. Also should mention that I'm getting this legendary slot because of legendary modification. I normally ignore it, but the mod is fun to use when I'm not recording gun videos. Anyway, so there's our 32 SMG doing 64 damage. She might struggle a little bit against our tougher enemies that we usually fight, so maybe we'll play it a little bit slow. But there's a bunch of uniques to get, so maybe they'll give us an edge in combat. So let's go and discover what we can find. Our first unique is located right near Sanctuary, sort of due west or northwest from Abernathy Farm, but potentially easy place to get this if you are playing a new save file with the new update, of course. But you'll find the unique under this great big power pylon on the western side of it. There you go. Skever's SMG. Rat-tat-tat-tat-tat. Increased damage after each consecutive... Oh, it's furious. Good. That's going to be strong. The next unique is located just up the hill from Sunshine Tidings Co-op. So you go over to the west a little bit, up a hill, you'll find this blue tent and the silo that's broken open, and look out for the jump scare rad roaches. They'll get ya. Cop that. And on this you'll find, well, you should find some sort of unique version of this, but I think the dudes have obscured it. Okay, you can just see it sticking out of the mattress there. The jump-scared rad roaches have tried to steal this from me. Anyways, here's Pipe Dream. Put that on your pipe and smoke it. Does increasing amounts of damage the more withdrawal effects you're suffering. So that's obviously junkies, but it's not listed there, so it must be applied slightly differently. But we all know that hippies are just dirty junkies that don't really do anything, so that's quite a clever thing. So yep, we'll take that. Might consider getting ourselves hooked on all the single types of chems just to see what that bad boy can do, but it'll be very strong. Also, if you're wondering about the scarf, wow. The last one's a little bit more difficult to find. You'll find it right here in Hardware Town. If you're unfamiliar with this place, this is where you grab the paint for the painter guide down in Diamond City. So if you haven't been here before, there'll be a screaming raider out the front trying to lure you into a trap, so be warned. Once inside, if you've already cleared out the raiders, you'll probably find a couple of synths in here, not to be confused with mannequins. Yep, there's one. See right there. There he is again. And herein you'll find a bunch of shelves. You gotta find out where the thing is. Now the clue is at the top of the shelf, and that right there looks like a pretty good lead. So we'll just grapple up here. You can get up here normally. In fact, there's a way to do it without any flight abilities. There's these stack of crates here. Open up that fridge door. That'll get you halfway up. Keep following these crates, and then you'll find tooth and nail. Hope you get your tetanus shot. Targets bleed for 25 points of additional damage. Wounding, potentially very potent on a weapon which has a rapid fire rate. So 3 very good legendary effects for this thing. So we're gonna do up those things a little bit, change them around and see what we can do with them. But we'll modify them and then we'll start shooting at some big boy gunners. Alright, 32 caliber SMG versus a platoon of gunners. I'm sure this will be fine. Anyways, this is what it looks like in first person. You've already seen it. So in third person, I've installed a fix to this. So it looks like it's being held properly. There's a little bit of a label on this one saying, "Hold me." So just to remind the raiders of where to grip the weapon. So I've made a couple of modifications. I've got 2 suppressed and 2 unsuppressed. This is my sniper status one. We'll have to see how that one goes. Looks like those gunners are engaging with some of those insects. So whilst they're doing that, I'll just go up to here and we can begin. Alright, first off, we'll just crit this guy. Ooh, good start. And if we get stealth command doing here, we should probably do a good job against these guys. I've also got the crits, may as well use them, right? It's not even that poor on its VATS usage, to be honest. So let's bring the crits and see if we can't just continue to exterminate every single one of them. I mean, I'm shooting them in the head, so therefore their armor rating shouldn't be working there, but we haven't installed any mods to make the damage calculations more advanced than that. Something like, what am I shooting at? That should be a critical. That should go through. It didn't. That's kind of weird. Yeah, so I haven't got true damage or anything to make the headshots more lethal, or the lethal headshots mod, for example. But, you know, so far so good. And having this with a scope is making my job very easy because, well, they're such giant targets that I'm shooting at them. But the scope is not overwhelmingly long to the point where I'm having trouble actually using this in close quarters. I mean, we're sort of medium range now, but if I am using this in close range, I'm not going to be completely disoriented by the time I look down the scope, which is great. Also, the rate of fire on this thing is actually pretty solid, and that's allowing me to get those 4.4 times multipliers out very quickly. I think we've just wiped the first couple of squads of them pretty good, but we've probably flattered this weapon a little bit, so let's go into something a little bit more real. Yeah. Not quite as impressive if I'm not spamming sneak criticals, but I feel like with this thing's mag capacity and the lack of recoil, this could probably do halfly decently competent against these guys. We're going to be shooting them with a whole lot of bullets to actually get this to work, of course, but that's just Fallout 4 in general, so we're not going to hold it against us. But I will say this is a pretty low-level weapon, especially if you look at the caliber of what this thing is firing. So it is punching above its weight here. Despite that, we're doing pretty well. Let's go over to something different. This one's loud. I've also got the Junkies version of this one, so no addictions at present, so this is just raw damage for what it is. Enjoy the pipe gun sounds. I'm sure you get to hear those quite a lot. You're moving on from pipe guns pretty early in the game. Like the stagger chance on it, I'm allowing it, and the hipfire accuracy is nice too. All sort of traits and advantages that you'd expect from an SMG, but they're working out here pretty well. Getting nice and close to this gunner. Maybe a bit of bash damage there. End up getting a lucky critical. Didn't do me too well there because, well, had to reload anyway, but still. Let's go over to our spiky boy. This one's got the wounding legendary effect, which might stack on a little bit of good damage if we get multiple hits in. In fact, it's actually hitting for the amount of damage we're getting for the bleed, but instant. Up close, 33. This thing, using a shorter-ish barrel and reflex sight, we should have a pretty good job at killing these guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get as many shots as I can. No, not that guy. A couple of crits for you. A couple of crits for you. And a couple of crits for you. 3 even. Yep, that's good enough. Just going to pull as many crits as I possibly can from nothing. And hopefully come up with a few kills here and there. But as it stands, I'm sort of standing in the middle of these guys and making myself easy to shoot at. So let's change that by going back here. There we go. Getting a good stack of wounding legendaries on those guys to allow me to kill them during the reload, which is nice. And we can sort of fire at that guy for a little bit and then forget as the bleeding damage will finish him and make sure it's a fatal damage over time. That was a little baby gunner. So despite this thing having a pretty low caliber and probably being set up to being a pretty low level weapon, it's actually handling itself competently well against a very high volume of gunners, which under normal circumstances you'll never encounter this much of the gunners in game, but even so it's putting up a pretty decent fight. A little bit of a clutch stagger every now and then keeps them from shooting me, so we can sit in a slugging match trade whereas they're having to worry about having any problems with them shooting me back, so they can take a little less piece of me with every encounter, which adds up over time, especially when you consider how many there are. Alright, what else am I going to use here? Go back to this one. We'll go back to this one. Get this novice lock. Perfect. A little bit of shooting in slow motion VAFs, a little bit of COD cinematics, opening up the door and going into slow motion. And there's my script extender mods coming in. Yeah, I'm still using old versions of Fallout 4 because, well, I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't have access to script extender or ANBs. That's why the game looks so pretty. But yeah, that's pretty good. It did pretty well there. And this thing can be held on your back like normal, or if you've got it without a stock, it'll be sort of a pistol form, sort of on your knee there, not on your hip. It's a big iron on your knee. That's weird, but yeah, the lean mods, they're pretty helpful. Okay, so there's the Swan over there. I'm gonna bring out the Furious version against him and then sit back and ping him with sneak criticals until he dies. Now I'm wondering whether there's a ceiling on this. I've got a feeling that there's no ceiling on this. Goodbye, Swan. Well, that was quick, wasn't it? Also, I got a couple of challenges completed there. That's the Fallout New Vegas challenge system, which I don't know if you can track that, but I got a couple of things. They give you a little bit of XP. It's kind of cute. I don't know why I have it. It's just taking up a useless spot on my load order, but every now and then you might see those little trophy things pop up. That's what that's from. Anyway, so that was fun. Let's get hooked on everything and then try it with a Junkie's weapon. Okay, so I've got all of the chems activated, but I won't actually get the buffs until the withdrawals come in. So why don't we try the Swan again, but this time with all of these buffs. One magazine and he's dead. Alright, that was fun. Alright, so that's what my special looks like with all of the addictions in the world. See, there they are. And the Pipe Dream, 60 damage as of now, but when I equip it, all of that should kick in. 169, so what, 109 damage out of all of these addictions. Is it worth the special loss? I'll let you decide, but we will be getting less agility out of this thing, so that's something you might want to consider. Got a couple of crits ready to go, may as well utilize them, get a little bit of AP out of the way before he's able to come in. A couple of little cheap staggers there, definitely helping me, but he's sort of hanging out in no man's land over there, and we can outpath him fairly easily, I think, so I think that'll be just fine. In fact, if we want to get a little bit more situational awareness about us, we can do that, and we can all see those cool combat dodges that I got set up. Better just hold down the trigger, why not? Maybe a bit of slow motion. No. Keep your hands to yourself, Mr. Ghoul. Alright, got him on the ropes now, and very indecisive he was about actually when to attack. And looks like we've got a couple of legendary gunners, so we'll go back to shooting some mercs in the head. That's done pretty well. that. So you can just one mag these guys super easy. Like the damage output in comparison to what we were seeing before, like those guys were legendary, so halfway dead, they'd regenerate. You better be thankful, Janie.
Hey there. Thanks for your help, friend.
Good. If you didn't say thank you, then you'd be next on the list. Okay, well, I think there's only one thing left to do. We'll stick a suppressor on this thing, optimize it for VATS use, and then we'll see what we can do. So, with Ace Operator giving us an additional 25% damage, we're up to 221 on this thing, which is pretty strong indeed. So, we'll test out this thing against the Giant Lobster Man. Not quite one mag there, but we did get detected for a second there, so... Oh, he's pretty aggressive today. Usually he just stands to the side and spits at me, but this time he's decided that he's going to charge right in, and that might be to his detriment because he's playing directly into my hand. Wow, we rolled him, and I accept that we're using legendary effects, but you know, these are uniques provided by the mod itself, so it's not exactly hard to go and find these for yourself and start messing around with. So I'm hesitant to call it overpowered simply because of how far you can push these certain legendary effects, but you can definitely make this thing a powerful weapon if you wanted to keep this thing in your back pocket just for use in that, and you want to commit to all of this. Like 12.2 pounds. This is not the lightest thing in the world, but it's certainly like half the weight of a combat rifle, for example, where you can use as a close quarters shredder type role for a submachine gun. And I mean, if that's all you want from it, then it's going to play that role particularly well, perfectly, I might add. So it's interesting, because I wasn't expecting this thing to be good at all. I mean, obviously, when I was using the non-legendary version versus all of those gunners, it did struggle a little bit, but since you've got access to all of these incredibly powerful legendary effects on unique versions that are really, really easy to find, this weapon probably elevates itself a little bit above the early game, which, you know, you'd think a makeshift SMG wouldn't be like that. Would be like more of like a pipe gun spec type damage and sort of roll as your early game. But no, this thing completely trounces that, and there we go. There's some more of that. Not to mention its accuracy over range too, which is great. And the fact that it's hit scan, it's basically every other gun in the game, it does that. But it turns this tiny little bullet into a big sniper rifle sort of thing, so I think that's kind of interesting. But anyways, if you like to see this thing in your game, if this weapon video mod particularly impressed you, and if you want to download it, check out the link in the description. It should be down there. Highly worth a download if you want to get a sort of lightweight, lore-friendly, sort of vanilla gun game approach to a submachine gun that is going to carry you through the late game. Like, this is pretty much... You could probably do an entire Fallout 4 playthrough and only use the Borz and be completely fine. Have every sort of role covered. You can sort of half snipe with it with the scope, even though it's an automatic thing. In close quarters, it's fine. Any seriously tough enemies, you can just whittle down with amazing legendary effects. It's one of those weapons that is versatile, possibly not by design, but maybe. Who knows? It'd be interesting to see if... mod author Pignus or Dak comments on this, discussing their balancing things, because I'm kind of curious about this one. But it's really strong, and I feel like it's got no right to be. Downloaded it if you want to break your game, but it's a good weapon mod, so check it out. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Also, if you do download this, make sure you get the third-person fixes, because otherwise you'll be hover-handing this thing like a normal rifle, and that's not good. I've also got the tactical reload. Did I mention that before? I'm not pulling the charging handle unless I'm depleting the entire magazine. So, immersion, tactical reload. That's cool, right? That's not a script extender thing, but still. Anyways, I'm done. Thank you very much for watching, guys.